Howdy ho, folks! It's New Year. I hope you are recovering from your hungover state. That is, not too many drinks, I hope. Anyway, point aside, this is now the video some people of right there have been waiting for. The best of 2021, according to me and myself only, of course. I mean, there are so many opinions, which albums, which bands made the best albums of the whole year, and of course no two opinions are gonna be the same. That's kind of a given. Yet still some people want to ask like, hey, what are your favorites for the year? Sometimes it's just to get a little bit of a idea what they might have missed, which albums they should be checking out and all that stuff. Now, sometimes, more often than not, I don't think these kind of videos make much of a sense. I mean, I've been doing these kind of lists for, I don't know how many years, way before Rauta even, but yeah, some people like them, and it's kind of a fun to figure out which are your favorites. But this being said, I every year also realize that I am missing a lot of albums which probably just didn't come this way for review or otherwise. Albums that came too late. For example, the new Funeral Mist, would it be one of the best 2021 releases? Quite possibly, but it came too late to the party, so I haven't even had the time to do it. Now, the day when I'm actually filming this is the very last day of year 2021. And this is the deadline I have to keep now that year is technically over for me, at least when it comes to music. And I will get back to those missed gems of 2021 later in the spring, might be already June when I'm getting that video out, because that is something that I kind of want to compensate to the bands that I missed. So giving a little bit of a few months more time to figure out those gems like I did last year already is a good excuse to just kind of revisit some of the best albums 2021, which didn't really make here. So that will be the kind of a secondary list, kind of runner-ups, if you will. Now, if you like a look at this description, what I'm having here for this video, you will notice that there are way more than just 10 best albums for me this year. And that is not to confuse you. That is not to say you have to guess which 10 ones will be on this video, but it's more like to give you the idea of runner-ups and the ones that actually made it to top 10 all together. So there's plenty more albums than just these 10 which will be featured here on this video, but featuring like top 50 would make no sense. Nobody would have the time to watch it. Now I've already spent 3 minutes of your precious time, so time to go through this pile, and I will go this from position 9 to 1. So I will start with the least good of the top 10 for me. And mind you, this is a very interesting year because usually my top 10 is mostly made of death and black metal releases, so it's basically very not very diverse. All in all, there's not too much variety. Usually it's like something like 5 death metal albums, 5 black metal albums, and pretty much of that. Now this time it's gonna be more a surprise thing because there are at least what I could count like 5 different genres presented in this top 10, and I think this will be a pile of surprises to a lot of you, and that might be both in good and bad. Doesn't really matter. I hope to give you some ideas which you might have missed with my reviews or otherwise. And if you want to go into details with any of these CDs, well, there are plenty of sources. Either you go for the streaming services, you go blindly shopping them online, or your favorite record store, which is always way cooler than just ordering online, or then you take a look at the reviews, mine or otherwise. I don't really care. This is not so much about me. This is just my opinion about these great bands. And I hope that you will give these bands a chance to listen to, unless they're totally out of your territory and not your cup of tea, if you will. So let's start with position number 10. This is Necrotic Gore Beast from Canada with Human Deviance Galore. Now, this is brutal death metal and slam. Kind of a technical, but most importantly, very, very brutal and heavy stuff. Those who like the kind of stuff, they should be checking out this immediately, like pause my video and check it out. But those who are allergic to all kind of brutal death metal and slam and that kind of stuff, Well, this probably won't change your mind. This is as brutal as it comes and is one of the most brutal albums of the whole year. I really like the album like I did the previous ones. These guys know how to brutalize. These guys knows how to, go all gore and all that stuff. But not just with, working class death metal riff. Way more heavier, way more brutal, way more just boom. Really heavy production. Great album. Position number 9. Now, this came as a surprise. Never been a big fan of doom metal, let alone Funeral Moon and other kind of doom metal variations, but Swallow the Sun with Moonflowers proved to be one of those surprise titles coming this fall. Now, this is a soundtrack to despair and sadness in a way. Very doomy, very heavy, but in a very different way than, for example, the Necroceros Gore Beast. This is beautifully crafted album that takes parts of doom, a little bit death metal, and a tiny amount of black metal and puts them all together. And the outcome is just fantastic atmosphere, but in a soul-crushing ways. It's dark, it's depressive, it's sad, and very, very nicely done so. So that is my probably most surprising titles on this pile, like coming out of blue and taking one of the spots in top 10. Then we have this other kind of a weird hybrid. This one is from Sweden/Netherlands, whereas Swallow the Sun was from Finland. Forgot to mention that. This is Dödsrit, Death Rites, and this album called Mortal Coil is an interesting combination of black metal and crust. Might sound a little bit weird, and to be honest, it sounds still weird to me, even though it was already spring 2021. When I was listening to that, and I was totally surprised by the use of these melodies and riffs, and then some crusty elements, like how come you do that and get away with it, making such a good album with nice production, good vocals and all that stuff. Already made this interview with these guys, also one of the guys anyway. So in case you want to go deeper with this kind of a band, definitely give this one a go. Mind you, it's more black metal, but this kind of a crustiness present that there cannot be just overlooked. A really, really nice album overall. So something that you should be checking out if you are into black metal. But more traditional style comes from Norway with a band called Valdauder with album called Dropstalen. This is very much like going to very basics of Norwegian black metal, the 1990s style. One could say there is nothing groundbreaking here, but this is the kind of a black metal album that really challenges, and in my opinion also beats some of those Norwegian black metal classics. Why so? Because the songwriting is just good and solid, and everything falls like right there where they belong, in their own places. Not the most innovative album right there, but if you are into Nordic, especially Norwegian kind of black metal, there is no reason why to skip this one. Then this album from Greece, which seems to divide people, Aethyrick's debut album from very early 2021, As the Flame Withers. This is the continuation to their MCD from 2020, and I know a lot of people felt like this was a little bit of a disappointment after that great MCD, which was even better than this one, but I think this really nailed it, and I gave it a little bit of a room to, grow, and it grew on me, because the thing here is, this is much like going back to early ways of Rotting Christ and all that stuff, and features members of that as well, but beyond that, so it's very atmospheric, really beautiful melodic parts and all that stuff. So it's like opposite of raw black metal, yet still being very much a black metal release. And why I chose to include it in top 10 is, well, first of all, it's a great album, but also because I really like the diversity that is present there. What I had to choose before Dödsrit and Valdauder in terms of, black metal release. There's just something very special that touches me all the right places. Yeah, you get the idea. But anyway, it's not for everybody. But if you like atmospheric black metal, and you like melodic outtakes, and you like this kind of a old school Greek black metal style, this is definitely for you. Aethyrick, keep checking that out. But even before that came this Finnish black metal release by Sielun Vihollinen, Teloituskäsky, order of execution, if you want it to translate it. And this is one of those very few melodic black metal releases that totally took me by the storm, or whatever you want to call it. The thing here is, it's damn catchy. It's damn well crafted. Those melodies go under my skin. It's like one of the best things after Dissection's best albums. And it totally has these kind of melodics that just take me. And I know there are a lot of melodic black metal bands which are like, hey, really nice to listen to, but don't have the what you would call catchiness or memorability and all that stuff. Now, I wouldn't say this is as good as the previous Cielon Violin album from a couple of years ago, but really damn close to it. A great album overall, and as such deserves its position. Let me see, number 5. Yeah, I had to check out on my pile, like which number we are already at. Now then, which is a little bit off from typical black metal, is this band Harakiri for the Sky with the album called Maire. And this is not exactly pure black metal album. I think the word or genre which describes this double CD release with great booklet kind of a digibook kind of a release, is that this is post-black metal in a very atmospheric and melodic ways. 2 albums might be kind of like overkill for many bands, but this is one of those bands that are just able to keep the flame burning until the very end. I've seen this band live, I've enjoyed their previous albums, and this didn't come as a surprise to be as good. I mean, not all their albums are this good, but still, Harakiri for the Sky once again proved that they have the right tools, the right ways to execute what we call just melodic, atmospheric, post-black. Lots of black metal right there, but even further, one could say the same ways or similar ways that bands like Alcest and all. Now top 3 will be a little bit more surprising because now we go into territory. Like I said, this pile is just beyond death metal and black metal, and I featured all the black metal ones that were on top 10. So the last 3 ones are not for black metal audience. Well, unless you're much like me who likes other genres as well. And top 3 place is taken by a band called Enforced Kilgrid. Now, this is one of the most intense album I heard throughout the years. Throughout this year. And this combines old school death metal with old school thrash and makes those riffs just really crushing, intense, fast playing, and wow, just great album with really, really nice execution. This totally came as a surprise because I had no expectation. Enforced doesn't really even sound like, wow, this is gonna be some killer. And it's not like a band that I've been following for years. Like, I know they're gonna be a great band and great release. So once I heard this, I'm like, man, this is some good album. So when it came during the spring, I already knew this would end up in the top 10. Well, at least likely. And when I revisited, by the way, I revisited all of these albums before making this list. So it's not just, about how well I remember some album to be. So when I revisited it, was like, yeah, this goes to top 5, maybe top 3 or so. And here it is, top 3. Really, really nice album, but not for people who are shy of thrash metal or death thrash and all. And then the most surprising title on this list is an album which I didn't feature for Rauta, never got the physical copy for that, but I reviewed this for other media. This one is Evergrey with Escape of the Phoenix. Evergrey is something that I could describe as somewhat melodic, progressive, atmospheric metal. Sounds like a weird combination. Now the thing here is, like some 3 years ago, I probably hadn't even heard the band, but I was going to interview them at this Nordic metal cruise where they played, one of the headliner acts. So I listened to some of the early material. I'm like, okay, this is not my cup of tea, like 6 out of 10 and all that stuff. Then I revisited their latest album back then, The Atlantic, which was like, wow, it really went under my skin. Not for so much for the gent parts, but because of those great melodies and especially with the vocals and those atmospheric parts, which were like kind of like sad, like, I don't know, a metal version of Pink Floyd in so many ways. I know a lot of people gonna hate me for saying that, but that's something that I get. And the lyrics and all, I'm like, wow, I really liked it. The vocals are just great. There is something that resonates me 100% when it comes to those vocals. And some of the lyrics, I feel like touched by them. I know it might sound weird, but that it is. And as such, when I got to reviewed this album early 2021, I was like, yeah, this is not as good, but it's good. It's great. And then it kind of grew on me. And when I revisited, I was like, yeah, this has to go among the top albums of the year. Really, really good one. But the one that always had the number one position since it was released is the album which I'm gonna save for the last. And it's here, the number one band for this year. Cannibal Corpse, Violence Unimagined. This US-based death metal veteran band didn't come that much as a surprise as to, deliver a good album, because they have been getting stronger over the years, in my opinion, where they had more what would be described as weaker moments, weaker albums, even though the whole Cannibal Corpse discography is very, very solid and strong. But like that previous album, Red Before Black, that was already really, really great one, and I really enjoyed it. But now there was this lineup changes due to some, events happening, and Eric Rudin, the producer of Cannibal Corpse albums for the past few years, now took the other guitarist position, as the whole main guitarist, or one of the main guitarists, had to be incarcerated. So Eric Rudin not only was the producer for the band, but now also a songwriter and guitarist for the band. And I think that changed the dynamics, what made this album really, really great. It's still old Cannibal Corpse, brutal death metal with so crushing riffs, excellent production, great vocals and all that stuff, but now with a little bit of a new twist, new blood, if you will. And for some reason, which I can still totally comprehend, this album clicked me really, really great. So this is the only one I actually rated 9 out of 10 or better for 2021. Yes, I know I'm the kind of a picky type that rarely finds album better than 9 out of 10 for any given year. Usually ones that end up getting better scores are something that grow on me over the years. But it is what it is. There is no nostalgia bonus, but, it's this kind of a growing effect. But be it as it may, this one is the album of the year for me, and who knows, will I like it even more in coming months or years? I don't know. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it goes the other way around. But this is the pile I am having, and these are my number 1 through 10 albums for Albums of the Year 2021. And like I said, I will have other names for you mentioned in the description box, so you can check it out. There are more black metal albums for you to check out. There are more death metal albums for you to check out. So in case this top 10 sounded a little bit weird and surprising or even upsetting, you will find more traditional takes, if you will, from the list. Now go enjoy some of them. I don't expect you to check out all of them, maybe even not any of them, but I still urge, do that and find some good music. Now onwards to 2022, I don't know what kind of good albums there will be, because only a few albums of 2022 have arrived here, but the pace is speeding up, and there will be interesting albums for 2022 as well. So stay tuned for more reviews, but more importantly, Happy New Year 2022, dear Rauta follower, right there where you are. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel and like the video and whatever you need to do. Anyway, stay metal, stay healthy, and stay well.